Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today you have Rachel and Angelica here, and we are so excited to welcome our guests on the podcast today. We have Kim and Lynn of Farm Tree. We are so excited to have you on.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're excited too.
I was hoping to have my golden milk that you two had both sent us with me here today, but I drank it all already this morning. I could not wait till 11 a.m. So don't have my cup, but it was delicious. And I'm so excited to talk about what you two have created, all of the beautiful products, and also your journey as entrepreneurs. And where we'd love to start is just by asking you both, when is the first time that you ever felt connected to something bigger than yourselves or connected to something spiritually?
So for me, I remember knowing that there was something larger than myself from being a little teeny tiny, like as far as I can remember. And I didn't grow up in an extremely like religious or spiritual family. So looking back on that, that's pretty powerful to know that like I had that internal knowing without it being forced upon me. And just as a little child, I remember looking to something larger and also being able to see light in like circumstances that maybe other people might not have been able to find light in. So knowing that there was something bigger than me out there as a young child, I think was the thing that has just brought me through my journey spiritually. But it really wasn't until studying Ayurveda that I was really able to understand the difference between mind, body, and spirit. And to know, we all know our physical body and the matter that we are, and then we recognize our thoughts, but that space between our thoughts as spirit was foreign to me until Ayurveda. And it really allowed me to understand that the more I lean into that space, I become closer to myself and understand my true spirituality, and in turn, like really get closer to like love and compassion. And so to me, that is like that spirituality that I'm always growing towards.
Yeah, Kim, can you give us an example of, because I love what you said about being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that's a gift that you have. Do you have a good example of a way that you've done that and how it's ended up?
Well, I just think that there has been, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, is just being in very dark times in their life where you really don't think that there is light, but somehow it's peeking through. And whether it's you're praying to someone or something, but you feel that light pulling you to that side of lightness and just like of knowing that there's something bigger out there. And I don't really know how to explain it, but it's when things really should be dark and really hard that lightness creeps in and pulls you out of it, and you just grow from it. And there's that feeling that light, once it's shed on you, there's no going back. Like once you're cracked open in a certain way, you can't regress spiritually. Like it's not like exercise. Like it's like it's not like you don't use it, you lose the muscle. It's like really once that light creeps into you, it's there forever. And it can keep pulling you forward and get lighter and lighter and lighter. And so I think people can experience that in times of darkness, or just in general in their spiritual journey, when they're stopping to step outside of their physical body or their thoughts and really just surrender to something bigger, and the universe, God, whatever people kind of surrender to.
I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, sure.
So for me, I guess it is just listening to Kim talk too. Sometimes it's so hard to name something or describe it because it's that beyondness of it, the quality. But I think back to when I was little, like Kim had said the same, I remember moments and feelings of whether I was in nature and just experiencing feelings of, I guess I'd call it magic or awe or wonder at the world around me, and feeling like there was something that I couldn't name that was impacting like just the flow and the rhythm of life. Like there was this kind of grand flow and design that was something I couldn't really have the words to say like tangibly what it was. And it was like a light or something that brought about feelings of contentment even when I was younger. And it wasn't contentment or joy because of something. It wasn't I'm happy today because I got this or this went my way. It was like indescribable feelings of just satisfaction. And as I got older, I think, you know, when challenging times came into my life, it was the presence of that spirituality revealed itself in ways of surrender and faith, of like not knowing how or why, but I feel supported. And I believe and have faith that there's something beyond me that has a plan, and so I'm okay. And I think, just like Kim said, it's like you can't, once you feel that, you know it is real. And when I started studying philosophy and Eastern philosophy and Vedanta philosophy and then Ayurveda, it kind of put the words and the map of the course together for me. So it was like, okay, like that wasn't all just in my head. It's a real thing that human beings, we all experience in this way, and that connects us all. So that felt extremely comforting. And it just like, we're on the path, and we know it's, and not this end point of you figure it out. It's just, it's all journey. It goes on. Yeah.
I think that's so relatable, because oftentimes, like you said, you can't put words those experiences because it's on a multi-sensory level. So it's like we feel it, we experience it in our dreams, and we know it, and we taste it, and we smell it, but it's like hard to put it in concrete things. And I think that's when that awakening happens so quickly, when we learn things like Ayurveda and a lot about the Vedas and the Vedic wisdom. And it's like, whoa, wait, there's actually like a roadmap and a system for this. Like, that's awesome. Like, my human body loves this. I can actually get like tangibility to it. And I think that's something that's so beautiful that you bring to your product. It's like an embodiment of that kind of spirituality and intentionality. And that's why Rachel and I are like so specific when we think about brands and that feel aligned. And yours is one of those, because you can actually feel the intentionality behind the product, if that makes sense. Like, I can't, of course, like the taste and the quality, but like there's that certain like spiritual essence that's behind it. And I would love to hear from you, like, what specifically, when you were creating your products, did you want to separate it from other brands to make it really unique to both of you?
Well, I think, first of all, when we started our company, there were so many synchronicities that brought it all together. And so it started from that place, and that's what I think carries us through. But so it was started with intention.
Intention, definitely. Yeah, the intention to spread the wisdom of Ayurveda. And so really that is where it all started. And it wasn't with a product at first. We just knew, and I don't know if you both had this moment at any point in your journey of studying Ayurveda, but ours was very clear to both of us. And it was an absolute, we have got to do something. We have got to spread this wisdom, because it's so simple, but so, you know, obscure to people. And we just knew we had to do something. And it was a deep feeling in us. And so I think because we didn't start with this intention of we want to create a business and grow to be the Fortune 500 company, or with these intentions that were very business aligned, our intention was to truly just spread the word. And we did end up choosing a product to do that. At the time, we chose ghee to be the vehicle to talk to people about Ayurveda. And it made so much sense to us, because at the time, ghee really wasn't on every grocery store shelf like it is now. I mean, there was a handful of ghee companies in the United States at the time. In our area, you couldn't go and get ghee at the grocery store. We were purchasing it from California at the time and shipping it all the way across the country. And we knew there was so much education around ghee, and ghee had just actually touched us both personally, our health personally, our family's health, that we knew that was the way to start to talk to people. And we could, you know, maybe people would listen, you know.
We thought they would listen and not be intimidated by Ayurveda. Like, that was a fear of ours, like if it would be too overwhelming. And we were like, okay, ghee's helped us. We think it's phenomenal and life-changing, and we can utilize it to get into farmers markets, grassroots, and start to educate people that way and make it light, because you're just introducing it first as a cooking oil. And we would kind of gauge our customers, like who's ready to hear what. Like, do they just want to hear that it's a high heat cooking oil, or do they want to hear more, like about what it does for mind and body and soul? And
it was surprising that
Yeah,
99% of people really wanted to hear more. And it blew us away. And it was so fulfilling to go to a farmer's market and just leave filled up that you just shared incredible information with people, and they left excited, and hopefully we helped them in some way on their health journey.
And Kim and I also always chose, as consumers, we would seek out products that were high quality, local. You know, it had to check all the boxes for something that we felt, you know, was made well and in good quality. So when we wanted to create our business, we wouldn't do it any other way.
We wouldn't do it. Yeah, we wouldn't make something that we wouldn't want ourselves or for our family.
I love that. I think that's so interesting too. Rachel and I found that, for example, Soulful Veda started with us doing a retreat, and the first retreat we had, we're like, okay, make sure we have like massages and energy healing and all that stuff. And then we only had like one Ayurveda lecture, and we were like worried, like, okay, is that too much? Like, are they gonna like it? And it was the favorite part of the retreat, but we thought like, oh, it has to be like a part of this immersive experience to get people logged in. And yeah, I love hearing that from other stories, that it's actually just the Ayurveda piece that people get really pulled into. And Rachel and I know about your product, but for our listeners, I'd love to hear about the whole process of it and what makes it so unique and beautiful.
Well, so we have a large Ayurvedic lifestyle line of both food and self-care items. And like we said, we originated with ghee, and a lot of our research and experience and education exposed that ghee is actually one of the most healing and nourishing oils for both the inside and the outside of your body. And we realized that really no one was talking about that. Not only talking about that, nobody was making products with that, whether it be body oil or a nasal oil, nausea. We just started to slowly utilize the ghee we were making and create other nourishing products that were healing. It always had to have a purpose. It wasn't just because, you know, we really wanted to make sure that our products were doing something for someone and helping them in some way. And, you know, from the very beginning, sourcing and sustainability and, you know, finding partners that had the same values as us was our biggest challenge. So like, you know, sourcing grass-fed, organic, certified humane butter from the United States was a huge feat. Like it was just like a really big deal. And so then once we established that, we took those values into the rest of the product line that we were making, of like, how can we create sustainable, high quality Ayurvedic products? So we, you know, started to grow a lot of our own herbs and things like that. So everything that we've made with this intention of, is this something that will help us and our family? And we've tried everything out. We make everything ourselves here. We develop everything ourselves through Ayurvedic herbalism. So we've never had to pay a chemist or anything like that. We just have used all the knowledge that we've gained along the way, and R&D everything ourselves. And some things are fails and we find out quickly, and some things are just like, wow, this is an amazing product. And we try it on our friends, our family, our staff, and then we just roll it out either in farmers markets and just do it very organically and find out from people what they love, what's working for them. And that's how everything's been developed.
Yeah, and we also felt too that, and you may have experienced, when you're talking about Ayurveda or doing a retreat, it's like, here's all the list of the protocol and all the tools. And then people are often looking, okay, where do I get that pulling oil, or where do I get that nasal oil to support that? So everything, like Kim said, that we've developed is intentional. And all the herbs that we infuse into the ghee have the action to support each dosha, each season, and fit the Ayurvedic routine, so people can have something practical to take away and implement into their life.
Yeah, because I don't know if you guys experienced this, but once you learn these practices and these routines and these tools, you were looking for things to help you along the way, and it was difficult for us to find those things.
Yeah, Definitely. And one thing that I think is interesting, and you mentioned a little bit about how you decided to start with ghee, and it was because it was so crucial to you and your healing journey. But one thing we get a lot from people in our community, especially as I think Ayurveda is on the rise, like slowly behind yoga, is it feels like everyone's kind of doing it right when you surround your social media with people who are into Ayurveda, and then that becomes your community. And we start to have conditioning around like what the Ayurvedic path looks like. And here's how I help people. How did you tune into your intuition to know that creating a product was the right thing for you, even though you just mentioned like all of the things that you had to do that probably came up as challenges of like making sure it was exactly what you wanted? And I'm sure it's hard to find partners and branding and all of those things. What kept you coming back to your why and your truth of this is the path that you two wanted to walk?
Well, it was a slow path, I will tell you that to start with.
Yeah.
So because a lot of people, when they get into business, they start with a product and they do whatever they can to get it to market, and they bring on investors and they just go for it. And we really took our time with it, and we were really intentional about it because we weren't really willing to sacrifice our values of like, not working with farms that we could source in the United States or things like that. We weren't going to, buy butter from another country in mass amounts or produce it in mass amounts. So we had to go a little slower.
I sometimes say I think we do it the hard way. like I said the other day, I don't know if it's admirable or what, or like what we're going to benefit, but it feels true to us. It feels like it's the right thing to do. And we, like Kim said, we do everything here. We create, develop the recipes, produce everything here. And we actually have a space that we built out with hopes of growing into of more workshops and open to the public. And we have people stop in all the time, even though we're not open technically. And they just want to talk, and they want to hear more about Ayurveda, and they want to talk about their own journey. And we feel like there is this, people thrive and need a community that's supportive of their health and wellness on all levels, mental health, spiritual health, all of it. So I think there's such a need for that. And I think we both hope to, all the business challenges that we've had help us grow personally.
That's for sure.
And I guess grow within our community and learn just lessons in life.
And going the product route versus, doing the workshops. We did actually, after our graduation, we both saw clients, and I can't really speak for you on this, but I think we felt the same way. If like this, it felt like we needed, the sense of urgency was to talk to more people. Like it was too slow. Like worked one-on-one with somebody for 3 hours. And I felt like we could do so much more good by talking to people in a larger space. And here, especially in the East Coast, I mean, Ayurveda was definitely not trending. And ghee, people didn't know what ghee was. So, I mean, it really was a whole different world when we traveled to California for our intensives to see ghee on the shelves. I mean, so we had our work cut out for us to really just to talk to people about healthy fats and seasonal eating, which was a foreign concept. So giving them something to walk away with was really big for us, because I remember when we were seeing clients, we were talking about ghee. And then we started, I started making ghee for friends and family and clients. And I'm like, handing it off on the side of the car, the road, here you go, here's your ghee. And I was like, wow, we're making a lot of ghee and we're not even, this isn't our business. So I think it naturally just showed itself, like people want some kind of tool to help them.
Yeah. And I think it gets to a demographic of people that aren't really at the point yet where they're sick, or they would call themselves sick, or experiencing symptoms. So you're kind of getting ahead of the game, I think, when you're just kind of casting the net wider and getting people interested to take initiative before they get to the point where maybe they need like really serious help and it's more in depth.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think it's really inspiring because it just shows how divine was expressed through you and how unique that was and how organic. And I think a lot of people that we talk to, maybe a little earlier in their journeys than you two are, it's like, how does this want to come out of me? Like, what is my path? And so it's really helpful to learn that as long as you come from that intentionality and that consciousness of, I just want to spread Ayurveda and I just want to help people and I want to reach more people, the way that it's supposed to come out will. So thank you for sharing that, because I think it's really cool to see how unique the path can be for people who even studied at the same school like we did, and how, you know, even between the pairs of us, we're doing such different things.
Totally. And you just have to listen to that in yourself of what's calling to you. And it's so beautiful that everybody can do their own thing. And as a community, how helpful that is to have so many tools now, from practitioners to, you know, the different healing arts and products as well.
Something interesting you brought up was when you were, those challenges that you went through in the business, it also reflected personally too. And Rachel and I have been experiencing that as well. Like, we noticed that our energy and our frequency is almost like a direct mirror of what's happening with the business. And so I was wondering if maybe you felt that on a more direct level as well, and if you have any specific examples of those moments where that reflected in your business and personal life.
Well, I mean, I think you could probably speak about social media right now. Like that's a really relevant thing. I mean, Lynn and I always feel everything and we always talk things through, and we're always expressing how we're feeling. And just recently, you were just talking about this. Yeah.
I think for me personally too, like studying Ayurveda and yoga has always been such a personal and intimate thing. And I kind of tend to like, it's easier for me to kind of go in my hole and kind of just study it. So this business has brought about challenges and opened me up to ways of growing that I didn't think were possible. And, you know, I look at the way things are with, I always give social media and Instagram because that's an uncomfortable thing for me. It, you know, I think putting yourself out there in that way it feels new and different. And I always say to Kim, like, if we can do it in a way that's authentic to us and you know, we're putting out there, we're controlling what we want to share, hopefully we're adding value to someone else's, you know, whoever is viewing that, we're putting something good out there. But it definitely, I think it challenges me and it helps me to grow and just kind of expand and, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and just if you're looking at business in general, I'm sure you both feel this as well, there's this component that is very disconnecting from nature when you're running a business, or disconnecting sometimes even from your community, because you're really focused on your business and you're on your screens and, you know, and so having to learn how to be mindful about that and still be successful has been probably our biggest challenge, so that we, not only for ourselves, but for our staff, we are always, you know, hoping to create a peaceful, compassionate environment that isn't just, you know, work, or screens. And we know that if we ever get in that kind of cycle, it does reflect in how we're feeling and like how unsatisfying a business can feel, because it's so depleting. So we really do have to balance everything, you know, like everybody does. Yeah.
And it forces us, I think, when we're having days that feel more challenging or we're stumped or feel stuck, it's like we look at each other and like, why are we doing this? Like, we need to come back to that, because that will guide us and be the compass for the decisions we make going forward. Because it's really easy to get caught up, especially with social media, and what are other businesses doing? Because at the end of the day, this is our passion, but it's also a business. And so we owe it to our staff and we owe it to like the customers to, you know, put our best effort out there. So, yeah.
I hope we answered your question with that.
Oh.
Yeah, we could go on and on about all that, how the business reflects in, you know, what we're feeling and how we're living, but yeah.
You nailed it. I mean, especially social media is like a whole nother world. It's like, it's hard because it's like this beautiful way to connect. And that's where a lot of Rachel and I connect with our community. And we love supporting like other Ayurveda practitioners on there as well. But it's like like you said, when you're feeling stuck and if you're trying to pull inspiration, but then it turns into comparison and like I'm trying to do what other people are doing and reflecting, but it's just like you said, it's just getting away from the intention. It's like losing the plot line. You're getting to, okay, are we trying to like grow numbers? Are we just focusing on growing whatever? That seems like more on a superficial or ego base. And then, okay, breathe, come back to the actual intention of why we're here in the first place. And whenever, my guides say it to me all the time, like whenever you root into the heart, you can always trust it. And you never have to fear that it's like coming from any ego or anything at all.
Right. And what you guys are doing is so great, because for people like Lynn and I, we have tended to shy away from the camera, not get on social media, to the point where some people were like, oh, who are the owners? You know, because we really did kind of always take the back seat. We weren't from a generation where we did selfies and got on Instagram a lot, or I don't know if I know the difference between a reel and a live. Like, I mean, we really are not up on all the social lingo, but creating a space for people like Lynn and I to share our story in a comfortable way and have a conversation. That's what we love to do, is to talk to people and connect with people. So what you guys are doing with this podcast is beautiful. And it really is a wonderful way for people like us who really do want to connect and share our story. But this is easier than to do a bunch of like lives on Instagram. And so thank you for doing the show and just for showing up, because it takes a lot of courage to do what you guys do.
Yeah.
That's one of our favorite pieces too, is to just not only hear the story of your brand and share the message of Ayurveda, but also get to see the humans beneath it and get to hear their stories. Because that's one of our favorite parts, is to hear people's journey with it and what touched them personally. Because I think that's one of the most inspiring things for people to learn. And kind of going back to what we were just talking about, I'm interested to hear if you've ever said no to maybe an opportunity that naturally you kind of want because it seems shiny and it seems great, but you came back to the intention and decided actually that isn't aligned. Like, it seems like it'd be great, but it's not what we set out to do. And what was that process like for you? Was it hard? Was it easy? Or
Lots. We've said no to lots. We were approached by, I think, Whole Foods, our very first season of farmers markets. We were, within a couple years, approached by the largest distributors in the country. And we thought that's what we wanted. And then when we really took our time and went through the process and looked at what that would mean for our company and for us, we said no, and and it wasn't easy, it was challenging. And we thought, well, it's just no at this time. But I think eventually we realized, no, it's no, because that's really not the path we want to go down. We knew that if we wanted to go down mass distribution or, really own the market space on ghee, that we would have to probably jeopardize the quality and the values around the butter that we purchase and the farmers we support. So that was a big no for us. And then that's where it always came down to, is how can we do this and keep the quality and the values the same? And unfortunately, we just haven't been presented with an opportunity to go super duper large, like across the country in any kind of distribution model, to where we would be able to keep those standards high, because they're so discounted. There's such deep discounts in that kind of a model that we would have to, not grow some of our own things, or not support the farmers that are regional here that are really caring for their animals. And so, it is challenging. It does definitely, when you see companies that started later than you, kind of like all of a sudden getting all this attention, and you see them on all the shelves. And there's been times where we've been pushed off the shelf, but then brought back, so.
I think it's a funny thing to reconcile, like the passion and then what it's like to do business in the world today, right? And you want to be a profitable company, you want to have longevity, and it's a challenge because you don't want to compromise on your values. And so we have kept things, I think, pretty local, and for that reason, it's like we're not mass distributed, with a huge distributor in the US. And So that way we kind of have more control on it and are able to make the decisions we want.
And we did find through the process that there are a lot of businesses out there that do have the same values as us, and they're willing to pay for our product, and we ship all across the country.
Yeah.
And we've been able to grow year over year in our sales without having to kind of sacrifice that quality. We've just had to sit tight and let it grow slowly and surely every year after year. And that's encouraging to us that we still do find that those people are out there, not only just through web sales, but e-commerce stores and brick and mortar retail stores who see the value in there. Oh, this is organic USDA from the United States. And the quality and the taste is, you know, worth being this price, because I think we are probably one of the most expensive ghees on the market. And we had to learn to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And you kind of answered my next question, which is like, when you say no to those things that aren't aligned, have you noticed it opening up other opportunities for you? And it sounds like, yes, it has. And I think on a personal level, I see the consumer becoming more and more conscious. And even though we still reach for ease, I think we also reach for things that match our values and look for that in our brand. So I see that continuing to expand for you, which is really exciting to know that there are people out there searching for your stuff, and you didn't have to compromise on who you are and how you wanted to do business, which I think is a really great lesson for anyone to hear, because as you're starting, we've seen this for sure. You have that like impatience where you have such a big vision and you're so excited and passionate about it. You want it to happen yesterday. And it's just a testament that like, when you grow it slow and strong with a good foundation, it's able to blossom into something that maybe you never even knew that it could be in a really magical way. So I love hearing that.
Yeah, and we balanced each other through that process, because I think if we would have been on this journey alone, the fear can get to you, the fear of missing out, right? It's a real thing. And so we've at times both gone through these moments of like, oh my gosh, we can't let this opportunity go, and the other person will balance each other out, and we bring each other back to the truth. And so having a business partner in this process has been, I think, saving our business at the same time too, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And I really just see your brand as just being like way ahead of the game. And I think sometimes that's why it's difficult, because you have to wait for the consumer to catch up to realize it. And that like waiting game is so hard, but it's like, that is going to bring like the fruits of your labor, like so much juicier. Because if you can explain to our audience, it's not just organic ghee that you bring and making sure that they're grass fed, but what are those other elements to your ghee and how you make your ghee that sets it way apart than any other ghee brand?
Yeah, well, I think again, what you said, organic, grass-fed, but those words are it's such buzzwords, and they're just like glazed over so much in what that means to the product. And so I think one of the things that is very important to us is something that resonated with us in Ayurveda and studying Ayurveda, is the cow is sacred. And so it's not just a word of grass-fed or organic, it's truly finding farmers out there who treat their animals with care. And the dairy industry has gotten such a bad rap, and rightfully so, in some very large industrial farming methods. But there are still quite a few farmers here in the United States who do it really beautifully and treat their cows wonderfully, and have practices that that require a higher price. And so a lot of people who are producing products that contain dairy decide to purchase their product overseas, and it's causing this big collapse in the dairy system in the United States. And I think now more than ever, we know we really should try and keep our food source close to home and support the farmers around us that are working hard for us. And if we could all just understand that mentality, and the understanding that the farmers need to get paid more to be able to grass feed and to be certified organic, and to be able to have separate living quarters for the new calves, and the soft beds, and to be able to do all these really caring practices, it costs money. And so that is really at the heart of everything, because without the cow, we have nothing. And so we had to really give that there, because that's really important. But that same philosophy kind of follows through with all of our products, where we try to be really conscientious of, you know, where every ingredient's coming from. And in fact, we started growing our own ashwagandha, turmeric, ginger, things that go to cola, tulsi, like things like that, that we didn't even know that we could grow here in the Northeast. So it's exciting, but it's costly. And so if we can tell that story of, you know, sustainability on all levels, really sustaining the farms and products for people locally, then people might see the value of picking up the more expensive jar of something and learning the story of the people who make it.
In the space here where we produce everything too, like, you know, everything is done in-house. So whether it's the ghee or the body care products, it's not off to a co-packer where we don't see the process, or not off to a commercial kitchen somewhere where we don't know what it really looks like. And Kim and I have seen different commercial kitchens, and what we have here is really, it's pristine, it's beautiful, and everything is made with a lot of care, truly.
And with intention. And so I think we all know that that can be felt in products and in food, especially the vibration of that. And so somebody might not really get that yet, but they might taste it.
Yeah, it's that same thing where if your grandma makes cookies, even if I think they're from like a package, they taste totally different than if you were to just buy them at the store, because it's that love that goes into it. And it kind of comes back to the Ayurvedic philosophy of the conscious eating habits and what you put into your food, or honestly, the energy that you put into anything is what you get back, and you can feel it, you can taste it and be a part of that, which I think is really cool. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And we've been really conscientious too, to make sure that like our space in the kitchen is always very calm. And, you know, if ever our staff is having a bad day, like we know that that can affect the product. And we always try to make sure that this is not a really stressful, it is never a really stressful place, and it's calm, and we know that the products we're making will hopefully help somebody in their healing process. And we would want nothing but good things in that product to help along the way. So it's hearing it's just a reminder, because it's hard work, you know. It's like, oh yeah, that's right, that's important, that's why we're doing this, you know, because you know, there's days where you're looking at all the junk and you're like, what is going on? But yeah.
I love that. And so if someone was to be at the very beginning of their journey, maybe thinking about your path and the very first step they're about to take, what would you tell yourself at that point? Or what would you tell someone who's about to embark on this journey of starting something new and wanting to bring their gifts and their dreams into the world?
For me, it would be look ahead. Don't look to see what other people are doing. Just really focus on what feels true to you. And I mean, for me, I think one of the things, the piece of advice that I would always give, which wasn't the advice I think that either one of us received, was just to go on this journey with somebody. Because for me, that's been one of the biggest gifts. Is and you know, people will tell you, oh, don't go into business with somebody. And Lynn and I weren't friends before studying. We met at an Ayurvedic workshop, and so it was something larger that brought us together. And it was never a question of like, oh, is this going to end badly? We just knew. I can't explain it, but I do think that is important. And I see that you're both doing something together, and I don't know if you can speak on that and how that's helped you in your journey too, but having a business partner has been invaluable.
And for all like we touched on it earlier, is getting into business for all the right reasons. Like if someone not, you know, we live in the world, and of course there's things that satisfy our ego and make us feel good, but if, you know, staying true to what you really truly want, that you think will bring you joy. Along the way, I remember Kim and I, at the very beginning, we were visiting farms, and we left the farm in New York, and we were driving away, and I just had a feeling that my whole world just changed. And I think I would encourage people to listen to those things, like trust your gut. It sounds kind of cliche, but truly, like, trust your gut. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that goes back to your whole experience of spirituality in the beginning of just like getting in touch with that thing that you can't really explain. Because, yeah, you're totally on the head. Like, that's exactly how Rachel and I made absolutely no sense to make ourselves an LLC or do the things that we did and how we met. And it was so synchronistic. And there was no language for it to explain it, but it was just that feeling and getting more in touch with that trust within you of, okay, this is God, this is universe, this is divinity that is moving us closer through it. And it's really cool to hear your story. Like, I feel like the reoccurring theme that comes up is find what flows and works. Like, go with that ease and that great, even though you've of course had challenges and you've had to like say no to a lot of things, but find what works and what flows, because that's what brings like the fruition.
Yeah, definitely.
And I love your products so much. Rachel like laughs because I get like obsessed with products, but I'm very picky and particular about them. And literally your golden milk, I can't even bring it into words. Like I want to like subscribe and save. It is the most delicious thing I've ever had. I'm overjoyed about it.
Wait, tell them how you eat it.
Oh my God. Rachel's horrified. I eat it with like a spoon because it's so good. It's so amazing. So if anyone's listening to this right now, literally stop, drop, and go buy that golden milk that they have on their website. It is divinity in a cup. So I have to know what was the ideas and the co-creation for this, because you have mastered it beyond belief.
Oh, I'm so excited that you love it so much. Well, we love it that much too. It helped my husband get off coffee. I mean, like he drinks it religiously. I don't really know what the inspiration for that was. I think right after we graduated CCA, you went to Greece and you had a golden milk. Do you remember this? I don't think we've ever even had this conversation. And she sent me a photo of it, and I didn't know what golden milk was. Ghee in it, and I was just like, wow, that's beautiful. And I think it stuck with me, and I'm very much a creator myself. Like we all have our different things that we love to do, but I would be happiest in the kitchen every day creating a product. That would be my heaven job. But she won't let me. It's just like, we've got it, because there's a bottle and there's another label and then there's another,
to market.
So, but with the golden milk, that was a very selfish creation on our part, because we wanted it. We wanted to have that wonderful, like the healing spices, that immune building tonic in the fall and in the winter, that especially here, it gets so cold and it gets so just dry. And everybody's always got a cup of something in their hands. And we just wanted something more, and to be able to like infuse Chyavanprash in that, another ingredient that most people have never heard of, but we all know the incredible immune building benefits of that. And it was literally one take when we created that, and it was like, this is amazing. And then it was on a stove at a small pot. It wasn't even in the kitchen here. And then it was like, oh, we have to make this. And it was that serendipitous. It was easy.
And I think of like one of the things that hooked me with Ayurveda and with ghee was those words of like rejuvenating, nourishing. Like we're also, as a general in society, we're depleted and dry and we're moving so fast. And that, like the latte, I think is an example of that cup of something that is just good for mind, body, and soul. Like it's just something you can sit with and it be a ritual. So
yeah, it's expensive to make though. It's expensive to make. So that is a challenge, having it be a product that you love so much, but like without, for people who haven't tried it, there's so much that goes into it that they don't know, right? And so there's so many really good high quality ingredients. So when somebody first sees the jar and they see how much it costs, they're like, oh, that's expensive. But not when you break it down as how many servings you get and how good it is and how good it is for you. So yeah, I'm glad you guys love it.
And I take Chyavanprash regularly too, just for that rejuvenation effect as well. And I noticed that you have a lot of herbs in your golden milk product. Did you create the herbal formula to mimic a Chyavanprash? And did you create, Because I think Chyavanprash classically has like 31 or 33 herbs in there. And so how did you know which herbs you wanted to use in there?
So that we've used a few different products in the past, and we kind of tried to take those products and say, how can we get a little bit of this product, a little bit of that product, and a little bit of this product? And it was really just taking the best of a few different products, creating it ourselves. Some of those ingredients we grow ourselves, some of them we don't. And but also figuring out how can we really make this a one scoop, like almost like a one pot meal, but like just one scoop. That's all you need to do is add water. So, without having to add, cream or anything like that. So by adding a little ghee to that and some coconut milk powder and things like that, we really got the perfect formulation. And that was really just trial and error and with all of it. And as far as the Chyavanprash goes, that is a recipe that Chyavanprash is not made here in house. It's a Chyavanprash that we actually make and put into the golden milk.
Amazing.
So I think other spices, I think there's 17 spices on top of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that's how we feel about your golden milk, and that's honestly how we feel about your ghee and all the other products too. We've been loving the ghee skin stick as well. Like seriously,
The
like
stick.
glows from that. It's honestly amazing.
Oh, I'm glad you like that. Yeah. We're trying to, make it easy and accessible for people. And that's one of the things that I don't know. For us, we enjoyed the herbalism part of Ayurveda and learning all that, and I'm sure you both did too, since you went through the program. But for a lot of people, that's a lot to make their own things all the time, whether it's to make their own ghee or to make their own golden milks, or even to make their own lotions, body cares, and things like that. We're excited to be able to do it and make it accessible for people and an easy grab to just, self-care can be just putting on a lip balm. Yeah, really.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm kind of the other way where like, I love the ease of someone else making it because I'm drawn to like other aspects of Ayurveda. So it's so cool that everyone has their thing that they're inspired by to create something from. And so I'm also interested to hear, like, what do you have as the vision for Farm True? And maybe this is the next few weeks, months, or just whatever's present for you. What do you see as the future?
Well, teaching, I think going back to what Lynn said and having, some shops eventually being able to teach people how to make this stuff. And because like you said, there's people like you, like, you like to learn it, but you really do want someone else to make it. I think there's a lot of people out there that would really like the experience of going through and making something like that. But then, okay, that was fun. My time is spent doing these things. So having workshops to teach people about Ayurveda, about herbalism, how to help make some of their own tools at home when they need.
I think it's funny, our vision has really never changed since day one, because we started with ghee and we knew that was the decision, but it was an Ayurvedic lifestyle company that we envisioned that encompassed everything, a space where people could come and learn, building that community. We, I think, dreamt of having a garden, right, which we now have, and we're growing more and more there. So the connection to each piece of it. And I think we want to put more content out there on Ayurveda, and just educate and share. Yeah. And I think we purchased land 4 years ago. That was probably the biggest leap for our business, and built our facility on it in North Stonington. And it was always with the intention of the manufacturing facility with the space to open up to some kind of a wellness cafe or Ayurvedic shop or something that would be really unique to anything in our area, but we think people are ready for it.
Yeah.
That sounds absolutely incredible. And we can't wait to be part of that journey and witness it, and maybe even travel to the East Coast someday. We'll get and jump on a flight from LA out to Connecticut.
We'd love to have you guys. It's really
Ayurvedic restaurants.
What's that?
I was gonna say Ayurvedic restaurants are like my dream. So if you create that cafe, I'll be there and just known it.
Fantastic.
That's the dream. That's the dream.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Well, it's been so fun to have you both on the show today and to talk about your journeys. And we'd love for you to just share where people can find you in real life, so in your physical location, but then also any spaces online.
Yeah, so we have, we're in 81 Norwich Westerly Road in North Stonington, Connecticut. And on the web, we're at farmtrue.com. So we have all of our products on our e-commerce site. And that's probably the easiest way to get in touch with us and find everything, because we're not mass distributed in brick and mortar. We are on some other stores, websites like fair.com. And we are open to wholesale orders, and actually practitioners that want to order and open wholesale accounts is another opportunity they want to provide to their clients. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being on today, and we will see you next week.